making headlines tonight. Some worried looks, but no tears, as the first shots go into the arms of 6 to 11-year-olds at the Peace Palace. The Prime Minister releases the first details of Cambodia's plan to reopen its borders to fully vaccinated tourists. And a red zone warning for downtown Siem Reap as people ignore preventative measures and markets are closed. This is the Daily Roundup on the EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Andrew Barnes-Roberts. Prime Minister Hun Sen has launched the next phase of the kingdom's child vaccination campaign for children aged between 6 and 11. The official kickoff took place at the Peace Palace on Friday morning, with some of the Prime Minister's own grandchildren among the first to get their first jab.
Young relatives of the Prime Minister and government officials becoming the first children in Cambodia under 12 to receive their first dose of vaccine. There were some anxious looks, but no tears, as the first needles went into arms. The Prime Minister was on hand to reassure them and check that they were okay. He says deciding to vaccinate this age group was about more than just reopening primary schools.
They are still at the effort of our government in combating COVID-19 through vaccine strategy to create a higher herd community that we have vaccinated around 80% of the total population. So every day, our immunity, if we vaccinate those who age about 12, there is only 75% of the herd community only. Even within the family, there is no complete immunity as well, not let alone the community.
Cambodia joins only a handful of countries around the world vaccinating children under the age of 12. The Prime Minister says the next step will be vaccinating 3 to 5-year-olds, although no date has yet been set. But he did stress that everyone in Cambodia who has been or will be vaccinated will receive a third booster dose 4 to 6 months after initial vaccination.
Adults from 18 years old, will the government plan to provide 4th dose for them?
In reply to a question from EAC News, the Prime Minister said a 4th dose cannot be ruled out, but will depend on the COVID-19 situation and the effectiveness of vaccines.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has recently been popping up in opposition groups' Zoom chats, but on Friday morning he dismissed claims he'd been hacking his way in. He says he has all the passwords and links he needs to keep an eye on groups he says are plotting to replace him. He then zeroed in on Som Rangse, challenging him to swear an oath of allegiance. The Prime Minister says Rangse has accused him of trying to create a law that would pardon former leaders from prosecution. The Prime Minister told the media at the Peace Palace that he has no intention of doing that, as it would allow leaders to exercise excessive power without fear of the law. He considered Rangse's statement to be an exaggeration.
So do you dare to swear to like your whole family will die or you will be in a plane crash? So back in 2008, CPP has more than two-thirds, so we can amend the constitution. So why didn't CPP do that? Even though 2013, CPP has lower seat, but all the law does not need you all to help. So regarding the law, reinforcement of democracy and rule of law does not need you as well.
Rangse spoke in Long Beach, California on Sunday, recalling the culture of dialogue established by the ruling party in 2015, and that the Prime Minister had asked the opposition to create a law to pardon former leaders of the country when they left office. The Prime Minister says the CPP does not need opposition members to make laws, as it has the 2/3 majority it needs in the National Assembly to make any changes to the kingdom's constitution. As the Prime Minister started his media briefing at 8 a.m. on Friday, vaccination sites opened in Phnom Penh and Kandal for 6 to 11-year-olds. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko was on hand to capture the moment.
The Samdek Oy Samdek Mai Reference Hospital started vaccinating at 8 a.m. They stopped at 11, returning after lunch. Children held their birth certificates and their brand new vaccination cards. Parents took pictures. We asked some of the children how they felt after receiving their first dose of vaccine.
Yes, it hurts, but I can't stand the pain of it because I want to go to school.
I feel that I can go to school after I get vaccinated. I'm so happy.
At the hospital's information board, it shows only 200 children a day will be vaccinated, so parents must get there early. This mother made sure to do so, able to save a spot for her two sons.
There's a lot of people this morning and I had to wait in line for a long time. I think after my children gets vaccinated, they can go back to school. That's why I made sure to bring them to get vaccinated.
Like 12-17-year-olds, this age group is also being vaccinated with Sinovac. They will be back in 21 days' time for their second dose. Nurses and doctors have rolled up their sleeves and are busy at the first day of the kingdom's vaccination campaign for children of 6 to 11 years old. Some children are nervous, others seem to be more relaxed. But after the first dose, they are just one step ahead of getting back to school. They just have to wait for the second dose, which is scheduled to be administered in October. Yuri Matosko, EAC News, Samdek Oy Samdek Mai Reference Hospital, Phnom Penh.
A light at the end of a very long tunnel. Prime Minister Hun Sen used Friday morning's vaccination launch for children between the ages of 6 and 11 to declare that government is working on a strategy to reopen international tourism soon. Although no date has been announced, the kingdom's plan is already in place. Only 7 days of quarantine will be required, but it won't have to be spent in a stuffy hotel room. EAC News reporter Reo Soko explains.
The plan is for fully vaccinated tourists from low-risk countries. Quarantine will be reduced to 7 days, with foreign arrivals in Siem Reap and Sihanoukville being able to travel freely in and around those immediate areas.
They have to be quarantined for 7 days, but it's not in the room. You can go sightseeing at the place where you land. For example, in Siem Reap, we're not gonna quarantine them in the hotel room. We allow them to be quarantined within Siem Reap province. So we will draw the zone, the area for quarantine. They are quarantined, but they can go sightseeing, like they go see the temples, as well as for Sihanoukville. So when they arrive at Sihanoukville, they can quarantine, but they can go to the sea. They go to the islands.
After 7 days, the Prime Minister says they will be free to travel around the rest of the country. No immediate word in Phnom Penh, but details are expected to be released in the coming days. Only on Thursday did Minister of Tourism Thong Kun urge tourism businesses to start preparing for the reopening of tourism. It will begin domestically with bitumen. Hotels, restaurants, resorts, and transportation businesses are required to follow standard operating procedures as set out by the government. The minister has emphasized that the reopening of tourism relies on people's cooperation. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
Two provinces in the kingdom have declared or warned about new red zones following the discovery of more COVID-19 cases. Odamanche placed 2 villages under red zones on Wednesday. Siem Reap Governor Tia Seha, meanwhile, has warned that the whole of Siem Reap City will be declared a red zone soon. He made the announcement on Thursday evening, saying that people are just not cooperating. He says COVID-19 cases, especially the Delta variant, have been discovered in several markets that are now closed. The governor is blaming citizens in the city for not following the safety measures set out by the Ministry of Health against the spread of COVID-19. Governor Seha has added that they have also discovered people with symptoms of COVID-19 hiding their true health status. He has not provided a specific date as to when the red zone will be implemented, only saying it will be soon, but it would place the whole of downtown Siem Reap in lockdown. In Odamanche, the two villages declared under red zones are Osmak village and Kivon village in Kunkril commune in Samarang city. These two localities have been in lockdown since Wednesday and will remain so until further notice. Cambodia's daily case numbers are up again, with one province reportedly recording over 500 new cases alone yesterday. On Friday, the Ministry of Health reported that the number of active COVID-19 cases is steadily climbing, with 4,463 active cases now receiving treatment. 698 new cases were confirmed by the Health Ministry on Thursday morning. They dwarf the 465 patients who have been discharged. 11 patients have died in the past 24 hours. The new cases take to 102,834 the country's total number of COVID-19 cases. The death toll has reached 2,089. The number of successful treatments, though, is now at 96,275. A total of 26 people, including a young child, have been detained at the Banteay-Meanchey border. They were caught trying to cross into Thailand on Thursday. The royal government of Cambodia has been stringent in monitoring border crossings as the two countries are battling with a surge in COVID-19 cases. EAC News reporter Reo Soko has the story.
Men, women, and children all were detained by border guards after being caught trying to cross the border illegally. Border guards are implementing strict monitoring in all areas of the border with Thailand and vice versa. The COVID-19 cases in Thailand are far worse than Cambodia's, most especially Delta cases. Border Guard Deputy Commander Lieutenant Colonel Lei Lut told EAC News that the 26 Cambodians were apprehended on Thursday afternoon and evening. They also seized 2 cars when they spotted the illegal crossers. Unfortunately, the owner of one of them escaped but left his vehicle behind. Lut says that the workers have been sent for COVID-19 testing. Thereafter, legal action will be taken, with them having violated the government's administrative and preventative measures. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
Well, now have a look at some news making headlines around the world this Friday, the 17th of September.
Media strongly condemns the beating and temporarily detention of journalist Patient Ligoji, who was covering a protest on Wednesday called by opposition leader Martin Fayulu, who claims he defeated President Felix Tshisekedi in 2018 elections. Some members of Congolese National Police assaulted the journalist and fired tear gas to disperse a handful of supporters of the opposition leader in the Congo's capital Kinshasa on Wednesday. Fayulu is seen as one of the main contenders against Tshisekedi in a likely presidential election in 2023. A government spokesman said in a statement that police had used excessive force and that an investigation would be launched.
Taiwan proposed on Thursday to extra defense spending of about $9 billion over the next 5 years, including on new missiles, cruise missiles, and warships, as it warned of an urgent need to upgrade weapons in the face of a severe threat from their giant neighbor China. President Tsai Ing-wen has made modernizing the country's armed forces a priority as Beijing ramps up military and diplomatic pressure against the island. The amount, which comes on top of planned military budget, will need to be approved by Parliament, where Tsai's ruling party has a large majority. The new arms would all be made domestically, although the United States will remain an important part and technology provider.
And migrants, mostly Haitians but also Cubans, Venezuelans, and Nicaraguans, were seen seeking asylum by crossing in knee-deep water of the Rio Grande along the U.S.-Mexico border on Thursday. Thousands of migrants were waiting for processing their papers in an overwhelmed makeshift migrant camp under the bridge connecting Del Rio and Ciudad Acuna. Some of them slipped back into Mexico's Ciudad Acuna to buy food, water, and other essentials which they say they are not receiving on the American side. They could be stuck at the camp for up to 5 days. Authorities from Customs and Border Patrol say around 6,000 people were in the camp. This is one of the challenges facing President Joe Biden as border arrests hover around 20-year highs. U.S. authorities arrested more than 195,000 migrants at the Mexican border in August.
Coming up after the break, a look at the day's sports news on the Daily Roundup. Stay with us. EAC News fully supports the royal government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, 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 wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the Daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear. After the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, attention is now swiftly turning to the Winter Olympics, which is just a few months away. Beijing will be the host at a time when China's relationship with the West is coming under increasing pressure. It is still unclear whether spectators will even be allowed into venues. Athletes, officials, and journalists will be asked to work in a bubble environment with limitations on movement and regular testing for coronavirus. At the same time, human rights groups have questioned the International Olympic Committee for allowing China to play host when it stands accused of alleged abuses against Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang province, as well as crackdowns on pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. The Chinese government has denied any wrongdoing. On Thursday, it denounced a new Indo-Pacific security alliance between the United States, Britain, and Australia. It says such partnerships should not target third countries and warned of an intensifying arms race in the region. Some countries are reportedly considering boycotting the Winter Olympics. Just last month, Canada's Conservative Party leader Erin O'Toole said that Canadian citizens may be unsafe there. But China is getting support from Russia, with President Vladimir Putin saying he will be at the Games in a show of solidarity with Chinese President Xi Jinping. American coach Alberto Salazar has had his 4-year suspension for a series of doping violations upheld by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The 63-year-old Salazar, who coached some of the world's top long-distance runners and who guided Britain's Mo Farah to Olympic glory, was banned by the US anti-doping agency back in 2019.
He was banned due to orchestrating and facilitating doping as head coach of the Nike Oregon project. It's an elite camp designed primarily to develop US endurance athletes. Together with Salazar being banned is an endocrinologist, Jeffrey Brown. The US anti-doping agency has said that at the time of the suspension, Salazar trafficked the banned performance-enhancing substance testosterone to multiple athletes. He also coached American Olympian Matthew Centrovitz. After 4 years of investigation, the agency reported that Salazar was also found to have tampered or attempt to tamper with Nike Oregon Project athletes' doping control process. Salazar won 3 consecutive New York City marathons from 1980 before coaching a number of Olympians.
He's one of the most experienced national football coaches on the planet and has found a new home in Egypt. Carlos Queiroz hails from Portugal and has coached his home team twice. He's also coached the United Arab Emirates, South Africa, and Iran, who he took to the last 2 World Cup finals in Brazil and Russia. Egypt are now hoping he'll do the same for them. Carlos Queiroz says he'll do all he can to make the dreams of Egypt's soccer fans come true. His first job will be to lead Egypt's national team through its upcoming World Cup qualifiers. The 68-year-old was named the new national team coach of Egypt last week. No details about his contract terms have been released. But this is the 6th national team he has taken charge of after leaving Colombia last year.
There is one important thing. It is what is important in football is the next game.
ما هو مهم في كرة القدم هو المباراة القادمة.
Of course, as I said, Easter makes us feel very proud.
التاريخ يجعلنا فخورين.
But history doesn't win games.
لكن التاريخ لا يعني إننا هنفوز.
We need to take the responsibility to play good football, fight for win, and make our ancestors proud of us.
He replaces Hossam El Badri, who was sacked on Monday, despite Egypt collecting 4 points from their opening 2 group games in the African qualifiers. The Egyptian Football Association says Queiroz will appoint 3 Portuguese assistants and an Egyptian goalkeeping coach, and he'll have to get cracking. Egypt's next 2 World Cup qualifiers, home and away against neighbours Libya, are next month. All right, let's see how the weather's looking for the weekend. And finally, a sculpture of a whale made entirely out of recycled plastic is towering over Soviet-style buildings at Kiev's exhibition center. Placed on 6 metal pillars, the 1-ton artwork aims to draw people's attention to the importance of environmental protection and recycling. The masterpiece lights up with multicolored lights. It is the country's biggest plastic sculpture, weighing approximately 750 kilograms. The artist behind it, Valery Kushanov, says around 2,000 people, including students from dozens of Kiev schools, collected plastic waste from the city's parks and rivers. The plastic was then recycled and turned into parts of the whale's body attached to a metal frame.
Але є така тематика, яка кожного торкається, це просто те, що там поруч з тобою, ти виходиш на вулицю, і це природа. Якщо ти не будеш за нею слідкувати, це буде як, це буде смітник. І насправді там, така у нас проблема в Києві є, багато смітників, і по всій країні, там, навесні також було там, в річках в Тисячі, я не пам'ятаю, там піднімалося, там був сміття, там, чи з пластикових пляшок там було все. Ну, коротше, тобто, ці проблеми є. Але ми робимо вигляд, що їх нема, і я хотів так активувати, залучити людей до цього питання.
Korshunov says that it was important for him to get children involved in the project to help them develop green habits and learn more about sorting waste. He says Ukraine has a huge problem with waste dumping. He plans to install more sculptures in other Ukrainian cities. Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News channel. More breaking news and updates from our website, head to www.eacnews.asia. You can also search for EAC News on Telegram and at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team in the weekly Roundup tomorrow night at 8. I will see you then.